outside. Ryan Gorman it is that leads on 58 points. He's in Class D. Craig Jameson has 54. Daniel Smorton has 44 from Class G. That's the production BMW class. And then Roger Stanford in 4th place with 43 points. And interesting to note that the top 4 in the championship all come from different classes, which does go to prove the point that there's a pretty much even chance of winning the title, whichever class you happen to be in and whatever type of car you happen to have.
Here's the race lead battle again, and Roger Stanford just can't get free of Craig Jameson at the moment, but Jameson equally not able to find a way past the BMW of Stanford. 3rd place is still in the hands of Anthony Wright. That's the white Rover Tomcat that went strongly from the grid. Of course, the challenge that he was going to have during the race from Len Simpson was ended more or less as soon as the red lights went out, because Len was involved in that start line accident. Andrew Busby, who we've not seen a lot of in car 33, is in 4th as well in the BMW E30, the M3 model from Class C, similar to Roger Stanford's leading BMW. Jameson a little bit sideways there through paddock, and this is getting close now as well. Graham Myers under some pressure from Dean Spur, who's trying to make some ground up after he was involved in the start line accident.
Yes, these two drivers still fighting over 6th position there, and in the background that looks like you've got David Hickton in his Ford Capri as well. I think, yes, you can just see him turning his way through Paddock Bend now. These two are a little bit further up the road. Myers and Dean Spur, former Alfa racer. Most recently he's been racing in the production BMW Championship with some success as Dean, but now switching to this Rover Tomcat, and a newcomer to the Pre-93 Saloon Car Series. These are the type of cars that you might have seen racing in production saloons, for example in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Of course, the Rover Tomcat had its own one-make championship, and a good number of these cars have come from that, and therefore are of 1992 vintage. The majority of those cars were constructed, and you can see the Rover Sport car colours on the rear of Dean Spur's car there. That's still chasing down the number 60 Sierra of Graham Myers as they head their way into Paddock Bend.
So Spur still not really showing any ill effects after that collision to start the race. Further down the order, this is the little Astra of Dean Raymond, car number 93, and he's got 2 BMWs on his tail, one of which is number 72. We've already caught a glimpse of Andy Johnson, and I think the other one's Ryan Gorman in number 21. So Andy Johnson and Ryan Gorman didn't really start together on the grid, but they found each other during the race, and they are trying to chase down Dean Raymond, who is driving a very defensive race at the moment. He tries to fend off the number 72 car of Andy Johnson, who goes from the left and then to the right. Can't find a way through at Chesson's Drift, so he'll stay in formation as they head up towards the left-hander at Devil's Elbow.
Actually, Dean Raymond started in the lowest position of all of these cars, so he's done well to get ahead in his little Astra. 2-litre car from 1988, the Astra GTE. It really was one of the cars to have in production saloon racing at that time, and a spin there for number 72. That's Andy Johnson, the East Grinstead man who started on the outside of row number 6. He's recovered that car quite quickly though.
So Andy's gathered things up there without too much time loss, although there's a red BMW off again there, and I think that's Johnson once more. 2 mistakes in quick succession for Andy Johnson. He'll need to knock that on the head as quickly as possible. The leaders are going up towards the right-hander at North Bend, having lapped David Howard. His Ford Escort easy to pick out because it's got no windscreen and no rear window either. Wide there for Craig Jameson. He's lost any chance here of taking the race lead. It's the last lap then as they come through that paddock corner, and race win for Roger Stanford.
So Roger Stanford, another win today in the Pre-93 Saloon Cars. You've not been off the podium all day, not a bad piece of entertainment, so well done. Tell us about that last race.
What do you want to know? I got a really good start, that was the thing. I set off and I got the jump on the start, and he was with me all the way. One mistake, I made 2 or 3 mistakes, and you could tell straight away he was right with me. A couple of back markers held him back a little bit, the back marker slowed me down once. I made a couple of mistakes, as I said, but you had no room for any mistakes once you've got Craig Jameson right within a foot of your back rear bumper. You know, you cannot make a mistake.
Roger Stanford there with Richard John Neal. Let's have a look at the results of the Track and Race Cars Pre-93 Saloon Car Championship. Roger Stanford winning by 1.3 seconds from Craig Jameson, who earned the Driver of the Day award for that spirited drive to second position. Anthony Wright in third place, the other winner from this season, and Malcolm Wise in fourth place. 11th down to 18th were all at least one lap down. Charles Hodge there in his BMW, the Tim Scott Andrews Rover Vitesse, just ahead of Alan Roper's similar car and the Ken Self Escort, with the Lancia Fulvia of Tony Murray bringing up the rear, albeit 3 laps down.
Time now for the final race of the day. It's the Classic Touring Car Racing Club Saloon and Sports Car Series, and Josh Ronchetti, who starts from pole position, is on a hat-trick of victories after 2 wins from earlier today. He should have Steve Weatherly on the outside of the front row, but Steve's not there. We also do not have Piers Grange and Andy Williams, who should be on the second row. So the next man to battle with Josh Ronchetti will be Peter Smith on the inside of row 3. He starts alongside Steve Dillon. We've got Tony Paxman in Andy Pike's regular Mark II Escort, and then on row 5 Steve Govert and David Hill. Nicholas Barton and Ben Dewan complete the field in his replica D-Type Jaguar.
Oh, now hang on, Tony Paxman going a little bit before anybody else there, so he gets a rather good start, but he's still not going to get into the lead of the race, or is he? He's got his nose ahead briefly of Josh Ronchetti, but the Leicester man in this 30-year-old Talbot Sunbeam Lotus grabs the lead of the race around Cheshunt's Drift for the first time, and look how he pulls away already from Tony Paxman, the former Eurocar racer, in second position. In third place it's Peter Smith in this BMW, and in fourth place it's Steve Dillon, with Smith trying to go around the outside there of Tony Paxman. He's got the inside line now for North Bend, the two of them side by side as they climb up the hill, and Steve Dillon not too far behind either, but he for the moment is going to have to satisfy himself with fourth place. Ben Dewan in the D-Type replica is fifth, and then in sixth place it looks like the Nicholas Barton Ford Fiesta XR2.
So cracking start for these 4 cars, namely for Josh Ronchetti, who has disappeared into the distance, but Tony Paxman has got to grips with Andy Pike's Mark II Escort to run 4th at the moment. Steve Dillon has squeezed by though in that red and gold coloured Mark I Escort, and Peter Smith starting to disappear a little bit now in second place, but Steve Dillon will just about grab hold of the coattails of Peter, I'm sure, just to hang with him for as long as possible. Good scrap further down the order as well. Now this is the Fiesta of Nicholas Barton scrapping away with the Eurocar of Steve Govert, and the Honda Civic of David Hill involved as well. Not forgetting Ben Dewan in the Ram Jaguar D-Type, who is ahead of them all. So he's heading down the hill. The D-Type not too far away now from Tony Paxman, who hasn't had a decent lap really over the last circuit. He has lost some time and is drifting further and further back towards this battle.
So the cars all go over the line to start another lap then in this saloon and sports car race. Effectively an all-comers race to give some drivers another chance to drive around this great Liddon Hill 1 mile circuit and get some extra value for money from their long trip in many cases down to Dover. There goes the Avensis bodied Eurocar of Govert, getting ahead of Nicholas Barton there in the number 3 car, a car that he races in the Tin Top series. Goes behind the Honda Civic there of David Hill as well. There though is our race leader Josh Ronchetti, who just tries to bring out this Talbot Sunbeam Motors whenever and wherever he can in a variety of different races, and he always goes very strongly indeed. The performance getting stronger and stronger from that car all the time, but here is the battle of the race. It's for second position. It's BMW against Ford. It's the Escorts against the Peter Smith BMW M3 there, turning their way down towards the Devil's Elbow. They now go, the red and white car against the red and gold car. Really good scrap this for second position, enlivening really this race, which doesn't have the biggest grid, it has to be said, and a little bit scrappy there from the BMW, giving the Escort a chance to go to the outside and then the inside, but defensive line being taken there by Peter Smith, and Steve Dillon has to tuck back into third.
So great racing here being offered by the two of them. Peter Smith just about staying in front, but not helped as Ian mentioned, by that slight mistake through Devil's Elbow. The tail end stepped out a little bit, he lost some time, and this time the Ford Escort can draw alongside the BMW through Chesson's Drift, and he has the inside line for the right-hander. The number 8 car then sneaking up the inside, but again getting the tail out, so that will give Peter Smith a slight advantage, but the Escort stays in front for the time being. So Steve Dillon really can only be concerned with Peter Smith's BMW, because Josh Ronchetti is up the road and gone as far as the race victory is concerned, unless Joss of course encounters some mechanical troubles. But that Talbot Sunbeam Lotus has run faultlessly all day, 2 wins under its belt already, and on course for a third as Steve Dillon comes out of North Bend again with the tail end happily out. The spectators still enjoying some great racing here towards the end of the day at Liddon, and Peter Smith is losing touch with Steve Dillon. He's not careful. The Mark 1 Escort will easily be in second place and untouchable as 3 cars drift their way through North Bend. The Jaguar D-Type still at Ben Dewin at the back of the field. It's the Eurocar, the Toyota Avensid bodied Sonny Howard prepared Eurocar of Steve Govert in the middle as the Honda Civic of David Hill goes wide at Paddock Bend, and that will allow, I think, Govert back through. Yes indeed, the turquoise and yellow machine heads back past the Civic after a rough old ride for David Hill there.
I thought it might give the opportunity for Ben Dewin to get through in his D-Type replica as well, but no, it hasn't. In fact, if anything, he's lost a little bit of ground to David Hill, although it looks like he's going to surge past him now. But certainly he's lost ground to Steve Govert there, turning his way through the left-hander now, climbing back up the hill. You can see Joss Ronchetti in the background, not too far away from putting a lap on some of these drivers, as we come now into the closing stages of this 15-minute race. That's been the race distance for most of the events here this weekend. So now here goes Joss Ronchetti onto, I think that's his final lap. Yes, there's the last lap board just being hung out there by the marshal. So Joss Ronchetti has about 45 seconds to go, less than that now, between himself and the checkered flag.
Joss, who is in action most weekends of the British Motorsport season, really enjoying his trip down to the southeast into Kent, based in Leicestershire. Steve Dillon still in second place, Peter Smith in third, and Steve Govert, having made that move on David Hill, who is now out of the race, is still there in fourth position ahead of Ben Dewin's Jaguar. Just the 5 cars still running as Josh Ronchetti comes down the hill for the final time and through Paddock Bend. He's been untroubled throughout the race, and he will take a convincing win once more here at Liddon Hill. The checkered flag goes out then, and the hand comes out in celebration as well from Josh Ronchetti.
Yes, he wins the race by the best part of half a minute from Steve Dillon, who had another 10 seconds in hand over Peter Smith. They were the only 3 finishers on the lead lap. Steve Govert and Ben Dewin a lap behind David Hill. Tony Paxman and Nicholas Barton failing to make it to the end. Fastest lap of the race went to Joss Ronchetti of 46.325, but that was well within the time he set in qualifying this morning.
Joss Ronchetti, fine way to finish today, pretty much as you've been racing all day. A win, no competition in sight, and you actually lapped quite a lot of the field as well. You must have enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of fun, and we've had a good day.
Well done on your 3 wins today, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Peter Smith, the podium, not bad for your second outing with the car. Talk us through that race, a good one with Steve Dillon.
Yeah, it was very good. I mean, considering Steve's obviously got slick time on road tyres, control tyres, which is a little bit of a handicap, but I was surprised to hold him at bay for so long. You know, it was a struggle, but I knew inevitably he was going to get past, so no point in holding him up.
Steve Dillon, that was very hard earned, very spectacular race, enjoyable race to watch. And how was it from your point of view?
Tough. That BM was quick. Yeah, very tough and hot.
Yeah, Peter was telling me it's only his second race meeting in that car, self-built car, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. Really said that you gave him a tough race and he had to work very hard for that.
Yeah, he was a very clean driver as well. Take my hat off to him. We never touched.
Well, that brings our coverage of the Autoglim Classic Festival to a close. Thanks to Autoglim for sponsoring it, and also to the Classic Touring Car Racing Club for their organisation here. It's been a great set of 3 programmes here on Racing Rally UK. Join us again soon.